Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk. Okay,
Hello.
hello. We were just starting to talk about a subject. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I'm in the library.
She's speaking in the library.
I'm in the
So
library. I don't know
yeah.
if they can
She's
hear
in like a
with.
booth or something. So it's
Yeah,
more it's not soundproof, but it's
yeah. I don't know how soundproof it is. I was like, "Can I talk in there?" And she was like, "Yeah, you can't be like super loud." And I was like,
hmm
"Well, I'm loud all the time, so
I'll
who
be
knows?"
dropping F bombs in there.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? I was saying, because Ryan, tell everybody what you were talking about.
Trying to think of how much. So I was kind of talking about I, I recently listened to Heidi on the Maker's Playbook, and she was talking about, living comfortably and within, what you actually need to live on. What is a livable wage for you in your circumstances of where you're physically located, all that stuff. And she's saying, like, hey, this is what I need. And I was comparing it to, this is what I come to expect from my salary and our household income and what our, um, like, quote unquote needs are of what our lifestyles are, what we become accustomed to, and then what is that life going to look like when I step away from that job?
Right.
So you're stepping away from a salary, you've got more time to do the pottery and everything like that, but it's fully on you to either bridge the gap or adjust and just be accustomed to, hey, we just have to be okay that we're going to be living on less money.
Yeah, and I said, you can always go back. And I think that because he said I wouldn't go back. And
I think it's
I
like a pride thing. It's like I've been
it's a pride
like
thing.
yeah, I've been talking about this for years of like, this is my plan. This is what I want to do. So when I make that decision, I want it to be final, quote unquote.
Right. So, but I think that the thing that that I would like to say is that you can go back. And there's nothing like what's the word? There's nothing like shameful in going back. I had a pro I not it was not a professor. I had a teacher in high school who I was thinking about going to college for graphic design when I had no idea what anything was in life in my infinite uh naivety. And and I had a professor and he said, "Yeah, well, just remember that it's just a year. If you don't like it, you can leave." And I think that we forget sometimes that things are just a year. It's like what's happening, like how I'm working at a real job right now and I'm like, it's just a couple years. Like it's
Hmm.
not my entire life, and I can change my mind. We can change our minds. And that's
Right.
not that's not failing. That's not quitting. That's just fucking changing your mind,
Uh-huh.
And I think that we forget that as a society because we're so hung up on succeeding and that ego that goes with it. It's like a natural ego. It's like a
Hmm.
that pride that you have. And and I mean, I think that it's really important to stick with what you do, obviously, but at the same time, you can admit that you were wrong.
Hmm.
You can admit be like, just didn't work out. I'm
Or
gonna go
you,
back
or
to
there's
it.
other things that you can't account for. Like I try to account for as much as possible, but I can't truly
Right.
know what the mental state is going to be when I'm not having to get up at 9 a.m. to be at work for somebody else.
Right.
I don't know what
Yeah.
that actual life is going to be like. It's not the same as taking PTO and you take a week off and I'm like, I'm gonna do pottery for the week because I'm like simulating doing this full time for myself. Like it's not truly gonna feel that way until I actually can't go into work and know that I'm getting paid to be there.
Yeah. And, I think that especially now, I was talking to my brother 2 days ago. It's funny that you were talking about like a livable wage because I was talking to my brother 2 days ago and we were kind of chatting about how like when he started his job, he was getting paid like a certain amount of money, right? And
Hmm.
then in like 4 months after he started, they did a raise increase for the living. It's like a living local living increase wage thing where they like figure out what the living situation is in the surrounding area and they
Right.
just up everybody's raise like wages to fit that. And I've been actually thinking about that a lot and about how jobs and companies, their priorities, like where their priorities are and like what, uh, like
They don't have to do
it's
that. It's not in their financial interest to
exactly. They
do
don't
it
have, it's
for
like,
you. It's for you.
right. It's kind of like East Fork, for example. Like they've been very vocal about the fact that all of their employees get a livable wage. And in North Carolina, I looked it up, it's like $22.50. And
22.50 an hour, right?
yeah, I think it's 22.53 or something like that. But which is a lot of money, honestly, an hour. That's about 40 grand a year. And which I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money, right? And
I mean, when the basic minimum wage is like 7.50 or whatever it is, like
right.
when you
I
compare it to
think
that, you're like I mean, that's not livable for anybody at 7.50, but
uh nobody could live off of 750. Nobody,
so
literally nobody.
yeah,
Um, I mean you could, but it'd be rough. And if you
hmm
had kids, absolutely not.
right.
Um, but yeah, I think that like it's pretty wild like to be able to offer that to your employees is such a freaking awesome thing to do. And to be able to offer that to yourself as a self-employed individual is also awesome, right? And and so also I just realized that I think I'm supposed to like book a session for the next hour here, but I'm gonna keep talking. Uh and oh,
I
there we
had
go.
something to say related to that too when you
Keep talking, just talk. There we
yeah,
go.
yeah, because like our company has done that before. It's like a market adjustment is kind of what they call it for us. Is they kind of look at their employees that are in certain I'm gonna say their role, their like title
Mm-hmm.
in their role, and they kind of know what the market average is for that role. And if you're under average based on where you're at, they can, if they want to, adjust you to where that you should be because they know you're being
Right.
underpaid. Like it's kind of like, a lot of people, some people start underpaid and they never catch up because even if they get
Yeah.
raises and things, there's a cap at how much the business can actually I'm gonna say afford, quote unquote, afford to give you a raise. Like if they expect you to be at, let's say 50 grand and you're supposed to be at like 75 grand, like the company can't legitimately get approval a lot of times to give you like a 50% raise or whatever it is. Like
Right.
usually it's, the cap is normally like 10% if you're lucky. So
Yeah.
like a lot of it you have to kind of leave a company to get the pay that you're supposed to be getting because you start so low you can never catch up.
What is the percentage of the raise that you would get normally as somebody who
It
has
depends on
a
the year, but typically they would give you like a 3% raise.
okay, that's the same with me. Um,
But there's also bonuses involved as well.
yeah, I don't know if we get bonuses, but yeah, I do feel like
And
and I was
3% is kind of like
talking
an inflation, like keeping up with inflation for the most part.
bullshit. Anyway,
On a
I
typical
was
year, that's about what it typically is. But yeah, it's no
yeah.
guarantee you're going to get 3%. That's just kind of like you come to expect it, but also there's no You can't assume that you're going to get it.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting that, well, like, I've been thinking about this a lot just because I get my mindset on one thing and I just kind of like roll with it. And um, I was thinking to myself, if I owned a company, could I consciously be able to have employees that were full time that I knew I was paying at the poverty rate?
Can you
And
repeat that one more time?
so if I had a company, would I be able to, like, ethically, me, morally, would I be able to pay people at a rate lower than poverty level for a full-time position? And I can tell you that I would not be comfortable doing that because I know that I would know, like, maybe it's because I've worked in like situations like that. Um, but I
What would be a poverty price?
Poverty price would be, let's see. Well, can actually I don't have great internet. Can you look and see what poverty level? I don't know, do it in Tennessee. Or not Tennessee, where you live. Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky.
Okay. Kentucky poverty level hourly wage is what I wrote. All right. One person, well, poverty guidelines, hourly wage. Obviously it depends on the household. One person household annual poverty level $15,000 for one person at 7.24 an hour.
That seems ridiculous.
So it says to
15,000?
calculate the depends on household size because of the federal poverty guidelines are annual income amounts. To calculate hourly wage equivalent, you divide the annual poverty threshold by the number of work hours in a year. These figures are based on the federal poverty guideline published by the HHS and do not vary by state, except Alaska and Hawaii. Kentucky uses the same guidelines.
Interesting. So, um,
That would be like livable wage. That's basically saying you are at the poverty line if you make $15,000 a year as a single person.
yeah. So I've been poverty pretty much all my
How
life.
is
Um, but I don't know how to find this. But I think that maybe my phone
I was
will find
saying,
it
how's the
easier.
poverty line decided? U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, cost of minimum food diet, multiply it by three to estimate the minimum income needed to meet basic needs. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. That's way lower than I thought.
I thought it'd be
well,
like 20.
yeah, 20 is for a two-person household, which seems ridiculous because $5,000 more to support two people.
No.
But I mean, you've been living at that line at $15,000 around there for the last X number of years. I mean, you've probably been around there for the last 10 years, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess I have. But I also am in a so much better spot than most people. Like, think about it. I don't have any debt. I like got really lucky with a house and paid off all my debt with that. And I like have, I have parents that taught me how to use money. Like I that puts me in a
Hmm.
category that's like well above most people in the country.
Oh yeah, I did ask about debt. I said, how does the debt factor in here? Because you brought up a good point. Official poverty line is based solely on gross annual income and household size, not on personal debt, expenses, or assets or savings. So it doesn't even include
Yeah.
personal debt, credit card, student loan, medical bill, expenses, housing, transportation, childcare, and assets or savings. So I mean yeah, you're ignoring a big fraction of that. So um, yeah, I don't know that that would be the best number to go on.
Yeah, I mean like
That
it's like
That's just taking the bare minimum wage basically and multiplying that by 40 hours a week is essentially how that's kind of calculated, which
Yeah.
I mean, in that scope, like let's say your ideal like non-poverty number would be $20 an hour. If you were hiring someone and you had a small business, would you be able to pay somebody $20 an hour for your business?
But what would I be hiring them full time or part time? Because I think it does differ between full time and part time, right? Because part
Uh,
time, they know that they're coming in for a part time situation, right?
yeah,
And
and a
full
lot of
time,
times you
they're
don't
like,
have other benefits
right.
as
And
well.
full time, I'm using this as my full income. This is my full time job that I should not have to have another job for, you know?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's kind of
I,
sticky because I'm like, do you truly expect that moving into any entry level job, you should make $20 an hour at like a standard? I mean, I guess that's the minimum wage argument, right? Should you be expected that any entry level job with no experience, you should make at least X number of dollars
right.
to do the work?
Yeah, because like, okay, you think about something like McDonald's, and everybody's argument is that's not a real job. Like people can get that right out of like in high school. Like high schoolers should be, you know, high schoolers should be using that job, blah blah blah. And um I can't sign up for the Iredell thing.
Yeah,
So I
some of the
can't.
arguments are if you did that, then it would cause the company to have to lay people off because they couldn't afford that jump from whatever it
Yeah,
is today to whatever it would be. But you would scale it. You would
yeah.
kind of wean them. I don't know, wean is usually you
But then
wean
it
off of
goes
something, but
into
you're scaling it up slowly.
that whole situation of like should they have been hiring people in the first place if they can't pay people to actually work for a regular amount of like an actual livable amount of money? And it's just I don't know, it's fucking mind-blowing and you can't solve it. There's no solvability in it, you
Hmm.
know. Like you can't solve it. You can just think about it and talk about it and that's what bugs me.
Hmm.
And like
And
what my brother was saying was that inflation, like everything has inflated except for
wages,
what we're paying people.
right?
Yeah. And like what they're expected to do. And I mean, like, I could go to fucking Chick-fil-A and make
Hmm.
more money than what I'm making right now. And or like some other job, maybe, I don't
Hmm.
know, Costco, you know,
So
and do
why don't you?
retail.
Why do you choose to be where you're at because of?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, I get a pretty sick discount on art supplies.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's a lot of things that go into why
they're
you decide to work where you work, whether it's flexibility,
right.
whether it's
Yeah.
proximity or
And
benefits
it's
or
like,
trajectory. Like,
yeah, and like you always have a choice, right? You always leave. And I also knew what I was getting into. It's not like I like, it's like, I need a job and I have to have this much money. No, it was like, hey, maybe I'll do this. Yeah, I
yeah,
know exactly how much it's going to be, you know? And,
if you're in Washington at that rate, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. Or if you were in
100%.
California at that rate, like it's different. The place matters too.
And Washington did a required minimum wage, $15 minimum wage. They put that into place while I was there, and it was like a gradual increase. So it would start at like 12.15 first, and then it was 13.50, and then it was like, and it kept going up.
Hmm.
And
Did you see businesses closing around when that was coming about? Did you see a lot of businesses, an influx of businesses closing
s-
or staff reduction?
some businesses did close, but like definitely I saw it in like Bridget has a pizza place, and that she was talking about it a lot because she's like, now we have to raise our prices and people are getting mad that we're raising our prices. And it's like, it's fine if everybody's fine, but nobody's fine. Like, oh, now a pizza costs $23.50.
Yeah.
And
Well, you kind
now
of
they're
need everybody to
pissed.
raise their minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
Because the people that are buying pizza need more money in their pocket so that it doesn't hit them as much when the
It's a
price of pizza
total
goes up. So,
it's a total snowball effect. And so it's like, whoa, what do you do? And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just wild. And I was talking to somebody else, and he was telling me about like that's how capitalism works, essentially.
hmm
It always puts the worker at the back end of the choices, the priorities.
hmm
And I don't know much about capitalism, so I'm not going to speak very much into that. But, but
Yeah.
I was like,
What's
yeah,
their
I mean,
incentive
it
to
makes
pay you more
sense.
money? You know,
Yeah, what is it?
why would they want to pay you more money?
Yeah,
You
you
have to
chose
show
that job,
value and be don't I don't know how I mean it and maybe this is like the I don't know. I mean, I'm in a completely different industry, so I don't but
right?
like we were kind of talking about this in our co in a like a coworker group at work and I was like because there was some questions about like how do you progress? Like I don't see a linear fashion in which I can move up in my role in the
Right.
team the way that's structured right now.
You're at the top.
But I've also seen, well, no, not me specifically. I'm talking about my other coworkers were saying
Oh,
that. They were saying
yeah.
there's no room the way that it's structured now for me to see progression in a way to like get a raise outside of the standard raise that the company decides to give me, right? And I was saying that like the company is going to ebb and flow around you regardless. So the company's going to choose what's priority, how they're strategizing, what is worth their like quote unquote investments, how the company's choosing to spend money, whether they pay certain like the company is prioritizing higher level skilled workers over the lower
Hmm.
level individual contributors. Like they're not hiring entry level people anymore. They're hiring people that are at the senior and lead level
Right.
because they affect and impact the business and the dollars more so than the people that are individual contributors that are entry level. So
Yeah.
they've kind of weeded out those people over time. But where does that leave the people that are individual contributors that are still there that don't see progression on the map or
Yeah.
on the roadmap? Um, so it's just tough to see that how do I move up? How do I get like and a lot of them aren't they're not able to take advantage of like bonuses and things because they're just excluded from them because they're not at a certain
Right.
experience level. They don't like impact the dollars and cents of the business enough in the role that they are in. So in a way, it kind of makes sense for the business not to give it to them because they can't. It would water down everybody else's bonuses that are the quote unquote backbone in a lot of ways to how the business actually makes
Right.
money. So it's like where does that leave people? Um,
Well, and
and
then
like
you and
the percentages are way bigger of a difference. Like giving me a 6% raise is going to have a much less impact on me financially than giving somebody that's entry level that maybe makes 50 grand, giving them a 6% raise is going to make a lot
yeah,
more impact in their pocket than it is me. But
right.
how do I say I don't actually want the 6%? Why don't you give it to my coworker over there? Like
You should
I'm
do
gonna
that.
I'm gonna
You
take the
should fucking
raise
do that.
because they're giving me the raise. Like I don't know that I can be like, hey, why don't you give it to that person?
Okay, but what if you did? That would be the coolest thing in the whole world.
I don't think I can do that, but I can vouch for this person to say, hey, when this promotion cycle comes up, like I think you need to promote this person. Like I think that's about as much as I can do. I mean, unless I just give them money. Unless I just say, "Hey, I'm
Right.
taking this after tax and I'm just going to give you this money because I think you deserve it."
Yeah. Hey, I'm sending you I'm so sorry, everybody. We have to pause for a second while I do the L&L. I'll do the L&L ad, and can you please reserve room 3 for
Meeting room or study booth?
study booth 3 for the rest of the night? Okay. Um, welcome to my ad for L&L. I actually feel like I'm in like a little video booth too. The internet at the
It says
library.
unavailable or padding.
I don't fucking know what that means.
It says
Anyway,
it's
it's
already
fine.
booked until 7:30.
Oh, maybe that is me. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Uh, anyway, I just fired another test kiln for I've been trying to make an entirely fully speedball cup. Speedball interior, speedball underglaze, speedball clear. And so I got the low fire clear because I am not a big truster in any cone six clears. And, but I might end up, I don't know, I might like cave and get your clear, but I did cave and ask Heidi for hers. Um, but I threw all these cups last night. I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I threw them all in to my little baby LNL's plug and fire and fired them up, and they're done. I just haven't gotten them out yet. But the ability to do that has been a lifesaver for me because you can't do that in a big ass kiln.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't talked about the plug and fire for a while, but if you haven't seen the plug and fire, you should go check it out because Ryan and I both received one for free. Yes, thank you. Um, but I would have bought one regardless. I would like to say
Oh
that.
yeah, it's like made for you. It's exactly what
Yeah,
you need. I mean, 120-volt plug, you just plug that bad boy up. You can do that anywhere you travel to.
yeah, I would have bought it regardless. Like, I'm pretty sure I might have been the person that like put the little nugget into Dimitri's brain, like
Yeah.
four
Who knew
seconds
it was
ago.
such a big opportunity for
Yeah.
like avoiding
And
the market, you know?
yeah, and it's just like the best thing that's ever happened to me. And to be able to just like drive around with my itty bitty kiln in my van. Uh, but yeah, it's got all of the channel connectors too, and I've changed out the elements in that sucker. Easy peasy. I even broke one of the I even broke one of the bolts and had to like go get a new bolt. And what's cool about that is that they actually told me what size bolt it was on the website. You know, they were like, "Oh, this is the connector bolt for that." This now, did Home Depot have that bolt? No. But I found one similar and it worked just fine. Um, but yeah, it's like it almost feels like they thought of everything. And I
Hmm.
really appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah, they definitely got and they were I think they were even iterating a little bit. Like once they sent it to us, I think we got like one of the earliest ones and it's different
we
if
did.
somebody bought it today. It's like they did make some changes and adjustments and
Yeah, like just little things
accessories and
that like right at the beginning there I have no problem telling you this because they fixed it. Right at the beginning there's a sensor in the back that if you pull up the kiln lid, it turns off the kiln, which is like a really cool feature actually. However, it can be very confusing because
it
if
just turns off the elements, not the whole kiln. It just
yeah, it
it
just turns
the
off the
elements
elements.
goes off. Yeah.
It does not give you a warning sign. And
Uh,
because like if it did, then every time you check it, you would be like it'd turn it off. Anyway, uh I tore apart my kiln one day because I could not figure out why the elements weren't turning on, but the kiln said it was running and then it was erroring out. Turns out I had a little tiny rod on the top of the kiln like between the lid and the body, and it was tripping that sensor because it was so sensitive.
mhm.
And and yeah, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's this. We fixed it." And then they were like, "We fixed it. You just got one of the early editions." And they
Yeah.
sent me the part. Actually, they sent you the part, and then I never did it. But I never fixed it. But if I ever, I always check it,
Mine
and
never had the issue. You thought mine did, but I think it was just getting adjusted to how slow the ramp cycle is,
yeah,
how long
probably.
it takes to go to increase in
Yeah,
temperature. But
but and like even still on top of that, even if it didn't, like if they didn't fix that, you can just literally take the lid off and turn it to the side. Like
hmm
you can just take it out of its things and just turn it. And like you could never do that with any of the other kilns that were that tiny.
hmm
You couldn't just take the lid and plop it right on.
right.
I mean, technically. Technically, you could probably take two plug-in fires and stack them on top of each other and plug those
Make a
suckers both into a really,
huh?
really intense breaker and
That would
and
be
fire two
weird. I
kilns at the same
wonder.
time.
I'm sure somebody's gonna do that at some point in the future. They're gonna be like, I need to just fire a lot of tall, skinny things, and I'm just
That
stacking
specific
these.
section of this sponsorship is not sponsored because we don't
Yeah,
recommend doing
don't
that.
we don't encourage that,
But
but I'm not gonna be surprised if somebody tries that.
right, because you can do that with other kilns,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Ugh. I don't know.
to do like tall stuff. But yeah, it's just really nice to have, and it's a lifesaver. And I don't know what I would do if we didn't get L&L as a sponsor, honestly. I would have still had a schmut
A
and
smut.
a schmut. And I would be mad at it because it wasn't firing anything correctly. So, yeah. So it's yeah, if you are just thinking about it, what I can tell you is just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. I think it'd be great if people don't have a if you're worried about transport and stuff, if you don't make a ton of stuff, if you want to bisque your work in there and you still want to fire at a local studio for glaze firing and everything, maybe they have glazes there and
Yeah.
firing schedule or firing uh options and you prefer that rather than firing a bunch of stuff in a tiny kiln. Like you can at least bisque and transport it easier and
I've made 10 pieces and fit all 10 into a bisque. And like 10 actual size pieces, not like tiny pieces. And because some of them stacked inside of each other. And then yeah, and then you would do two glaze firings with those 10 pieces and you'd be hunky dory.
oh yeah, I've piled stuff in there.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to find all that, you can go to hotkilns.com.
Yes. I love that you did the
I was
sound.
like, I always kick it off the Becca, so let me
You
just throw it
do.
in there. Yeah.
You do. Um anyway, what were we talking about prior to this? We were talking
We were
about
talking about pay and whether business. I was curious, like, let's say I mean, it's different because I'm hiring like part-time people, but like, should there be a baseline? I mean, there's nothing that's gonna force me to pay them a certain amount of money.
Hey everybody, I am interrupting to talk to you about L&L because they're so amazing. And you know what's really cool about the L&L is that it's built so that you can fix it. You don't have to have any tech background, you don't have to have anything like that. You can fix it even if you're a beginner. You can look up on their website and find everything that you need to change out your elements, change out your thermocouple, change out your relays. It's super easy, especially because they have that drop down panel. I don't know if you've ever changed out anything in an L&L kiln, but it actually opens from the top instead of the side so that you can just kind of like look down instead of crouching down and sitting on the floor of your dirty studio, because we all know we have dirty studios. And it's great. You don't have to use crimps or anything like that to fix your kiln. It's fantastic. You just kind of twist the wire around the connector, and it's great. You know, especially with the Genesis controller, if you're a beginner potter, you can just use the set, you know, programs that they have, or if you're a super experienced one, you can put one in yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, who doesn't love that about having a kiln? If you would like to look up all the L&L stuff, they are at hotkilns.com. Hotkilns.com. You can look up anything you need from there and see how easy it is. All right, back to the show.
Did
My
you?
baseline for paying, and I'll just say it because fuck, we've never hit anything from anybody else anyway. My baseline for paying part-time people is $15.
Yeah, I think that's about where I would start these days. I've potentially started lower. I've definitely started lower than that, but would
Yeah,
that be 15 1099 or 15
under the
as an
table.
employee? 15 under the table. So they're not taking any taxes off of that. They're not
I
paying
ta-
any
I
taxes
paid
from that.
Ray I paid Ray $15 and that was above the table, like taxes wise.
Okay, so they're probably getting about 12.50
Yeah.
after taxes or $12 an hour.
And I think that if I was in the position, I would pay more. I'd probably pay like 17 to 18, especially depending on what they're doing, you know? I know a friend that works for a pottery studio type place, like a paint your own pottery and stuff like that, and she gets paid 18 above the table.
Did
So,
she start there or
mhm.
yeah?
But she does know things about pottery and glass, so she has kind of a, you know, she's got a head up for that, or
She's got some experience going into it,
a
yeah.
step up. She's got a step
It
up on that.
yeah, it's interesting because I think I tend to I don't know, there's different ways you can value how much you're willing to pay somebody. It's how much value are they providing to the business? How much value are they providing to you by taking it off of your plate?
Right,
How much value is it for them to do it over this other person that has more experience that can do these other things? Like Erica has more experience doing certain tasks. So I
right.
want her focusing on those tasks because she's only here for a limited period of time in a week. So
Yeah,
I want her expertise focused on those things. And then I want to have somebody else doing like quote unquote like lower level tasks that don't necessarily like they need to get done, but it's not technical, you know? So I don't know, it's difficult. And then I'm like, if somebody wants studio access and I don't have to pay them anything because it's a trade, why would I not take that? Like if that's what they're interested in. So you know, it's there's different ways to do it. But then I'm like, okay, how long should it go that way, And there's people that do internships and apprenticeships, how much like quote unquote value is there? Like how much are they learning even if they're not getting paid because they're getting access and they're getting knowledge? How much is that like worth compared to just doing a role or doing a task that it's like transactional and you're just trading like I'm here for this time doing this task so you get this money for being here.
right. It's so hard. I a lot of a lot of this is like today, especially is stemming from this uh somebody I know, and they have two kids, and they just found out that their car might have engine issues, and I know they don't have enough money to fix it. And like, they're still paying payments on the car, and it was a used car. And like, it's just like, man, like just fuck. And
Mm-hmm.
and but then at the same time you think about it, and like, and I mean that's what I don't want to get into politics, but like if people aren't making more money than other people, then what's the what is the like incentive to get better, you know? Like,
If you don't have hope that you're going to make more money by putting in more effort, why would you put in that effort? Is that kind of what you
right.
mean?
Well, yeah, and also like if the CEO is making the exact same money as the person coming in, like,
Oh, right, because they make their money elsewhere on like
right.
stock and all that stuff that is not taxable.
Well, yeah, but like, like let's say a CEO got paid $50,000 a year and their starting employee got paid $50,000 a year, or like a COO, somebody that doesn't own the company. Um, what is the point of actually trying harder as a COO? There is none. Like you might as well just be in the entry level position, you know?
Well, they also have a lot more responsibility on them, right? Like there's people that
Yeah,
depend on them and like
yeah,
they have more sway. Like there's more of there well, I mean not for everybody, but there's more risk. That like they have more weight
yeah,
on them than the
yeah.
person that's entry level. Like you're expendable. You're not expected to do much as an entry level person. You're
Right. So
expected to
like you
show up and
should,
do the job that you're expected to do.
right. So you should get paid less, for a certain thing. But then how much less? That's the question. Oh no, I got the chair stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
How much less?
Well, I don't think we can ever solve that or answer that,
Right,
especially because of like living situations and like how much it costs to live in a certain place or whatever. But
right. And we like some of it, should somebody going working for an artist that's a working artist, should they make the same amount as a I don't know. I guess it just goes to the business of can the business afford to pay for this person?
Right.
You know, how established is the business? How profitable is it? How good of
Right.
like I'm gonna say, yeah, just how well is the business run that they can afford to add people? I mean, that's the risk they run.
Yeah.
Like they have to decide how much is it worth it to pay people,
Yeah.
which is going to be an expense on the books compared to how much income you're making. So
Right. And I mean, a lot of people don't think about all of the things that you have to pay. Oh, hello. Just cutting in here. First, I wanted to say that we recorded this like 2 weeks ago, and I like right after we recorded, I wanted to mention something. I did actually talk to somebody at my work that's higher up about kind of like this whole situation, and it was mentioned what you're going to hear in the next part about like, how much you have to pay for your benefits and all those things. That was mentioned, but also I wanted to say too that like my work does a really good job at rewarding people for small things, which I think is kind of cool. It's not monetarily though; it is with like food, which I kind of love, but also some people could see as not the best. But um, like if we get a certain percentage, we get biscuits. Um, if we, they do lunches for us all the time. And I do think that that does go a long way as far as morale is concerned. And, maybe if you can't pay your employees enough or, there's a certain amount, whatever, it does help. It does help. It's not money, but it does help. So I just wanted to say that. And yeah, I started the conversation at work today or this week, and I felt really good about that. I think it's good to just start the conversation, ask the questions, and not demand answers necessarily, but maybe kind of put it in perspective to where, we are and stuff like that. So, anyway, yeah, towards employees, like the taxes involved to have an employee is a lot.
the benefits,
The benefits, like
health
that's a
insurance, like
lot.
all of those
Health
things.
insurance is a lot. Like right now, I get health insurance, which I do have to pay for, and it does seem kind of expensive, but regardless, it's much better health insurance than state health insurance would be. Like I have a max of $25 per prescription, whereas on health insurance I could pay like $100 or $60 or whatever. And but also I get 5 free mental health check-ins. I don't know if that's a year or if that's just whatever. But like mental health therapy, like I just booked this therapy type session. I don't even know what it is. But with somebody and it's totally free.
Hmm.
So
That's part of what you're paying for your benefits, for your health insurance.
exactly. Yeah. And like I'm trying to use them as much as possible, obviously, because I'm in a
Right.
position where I finally can. But so like the company puts a lot of money towards that. And if the company matches, like for 401k, like when I'm here 6 months, I will get 6% matched, which is insane. Like 6%
Yeah,
match.
6%'s unheard of. I feel like three is kind of the standard.
I think it's six. I think it's six. Sherwin-Williams matches six too. And so I'll get 6% match. And of course I'm gonna put 10% in. But like still that 10% take is taken out of my paycheck. So then every time those benefits line up, I'm still, paying a little bit, getting paid a little bit less. But
Oh, yeah, it does say 50% match of employee contributions up to 6%.
who
So
yours?
if you contribute 6% of your salary, your employer contributes 3%. So
Yeah, so I
50%.
would I would contribute 12% to get six, right? By the
Um,
way, for anybody young listening to this podcast, if you do work for an employee that matches, take advantage of that full tilt.
oh, fuck
Like
yeah. That's free money. I mean, not free money,
first of
but
all,
you have to be comfortable setting aside that percentage. Most of us, you
yeah,
can set aside a percent or two of your paycheck and it's in the pot before you even know it. It's not in your
yeah.
bank account and you're giving it back. So,
For instance, I was gonna pull up what I made. I worked at Sherwin-Williams for 2 years. Okay, that is not a long time, not a fucking long time. I'm pretty sure they vested immediately or after like 3 months. And I was looking at how much I've made over time from just the Sherwin-Williams stock that I haven't bought, that I was just given, right? And like if it's a
That
publicly traded company.
right.
And the amount total was, I still get dividends, right, off of it, and I'm still vested in it. And I think the amount was like I put I put in like $2,000, like nothing, and it's at like eight now.
That's a different benefit though. That's not your 401k. That's like a stock option kind of benefit.
No, it was a 401k, like they matched and they I don't know, but still.
I think it's separate,
Anyway,
but that's like a stock option availability. Like we could do that with Citrix back in the day when it was publicly traded. We're private now, but they would give you you would put a pool of money in this pot and then win 2 times a year they would purchase from that pot 15% discount of whatever the publicly traded stock price was at the
see,
beginning or
that's
the end of that 6 month. That's kind of what we did, and they give you a 50%, 15% discount. So you
That's not what I
immediately,
did. I never bought shares. They just gave them to me. And I don't know if it was like with my 401k or whatever.
it was probably
Because
just a
it's
different benefit. They probably gave it to
because
you at
it
the end of
yeah,
the year,
because
kind of
it's
like a
in
bonus, sort of.
because it's in my rollover IRA, and I started with $2,000 something. It's gone up $6,000, 308
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would hope
off of
if
like
it's
two.
your retirement, they wouldn't be buying Sherwin-Williams stock for your retirement account. That's not a good idea. But
They did. Did
but
I? Did I buy it?
I think you should, well, I mean, you should be having like index funds and stuff for your retirement account, not common stock.
Well,
Like
this
if
was
you had a
this
retirement
this one I
account,
just had.
you wouldn't want to buy like Apple and Facebook
No, no, no. My other
for
one's an
your.
index fund. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay,
My
yeah,
other
yeah,
one's an index fund. But
yeah.
like I didn't do it wrong by any means. But for
It was
some
just an added
reason,
benefit. They probably gave you stock.
yeah, it was acquired in March 18th, 2015.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Anyway, moving on. Um, yeah, anyway, make sure you're investing young because I've never done
Compound
anything.
interest is great.
Compound fucking interest.
Time is on your
Holy
side.
shit.
I mean, yeah, I
I mean,
started
the
you just
only way you don't gain money is if the entire economy crashes. Like if we lose America.
yeah. And if America falls into the ocean or whatever,
You're
like
not gonna get it anyway.
your retirement doesn't make that big of a difference anyways. Your
Yeah.
individual person's stock, um,
Um,
your
what was
retirement,
it?
yeah. Yeah, I think it's
Uh,
just you start early, you get accustomed to it, especially with like the 401k match, for instance. Like it did say, by the way, it said average employer match is 4.5% of your salary.
mhm.
And then it says a percentage of companies offering a match is about 85% of employers with 401ks. So most people that work for employers that have 401ks, like they're gonna match it to some
Yeah.
extent. So take
Take
advantage
that
of
to
it.
its full,
It's
yeah.
and that's I'm pretty sure that money is pre-taxed. So
Yeah.
you put that away, it's going in your retirement, it's growing,
You have to
and
pay
then
taxes when it comes out, not
right,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, compound interest over those years. Like I started my first full-time job, I made $45,000 a year coming out of college.
you know what's funny is that was how much I made. I made $48,000 coming out of college. So I beat
Hmm.
you, and then I sharply declined.
And that was in 2013, I think.
Yeah, mine was in 2000. Yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
2012. 2012. No, it was March 11th, 2013. Because I had, okay, yeah, because I had gone on the road trip and I lived in Connecticut for a while and then came back to Washington. Um, I
So that was
realized
in Washington, $48,000 in Washington or in Connecticut?
Washington.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I was going to tell you something funny that I said today. Um, this has a backstory, and which is quick. One of the past president of our company asked me like a while ago. He was like, "So how long do you think you're gonna work here?" And I said, "I can give you 2 years. Like I can commit to 2 years." And he was like, "Okay, well I'm counting you on that." And I was like, "Okay." And that was probably like
Why is he
3 months.
asking that? That doesn't sound like something you should be asking as an employer.
I think that I probably said I won't be here long. I
Oh, and he was
probably
like, "What
stuck
does
at
that mean? Does
it.
that mean like a month? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna make it out of the month, or does that mean I'm not gonna
Yeah.
make it out of the calendar year, you know?"
No, I think I was like, I'm not really a committal type. So,
Okay. Well, that's
so
a
I'm
reasonable
sure it,
follow-up, I guess. He
yeah, I'm
wasn't
sure it
coming
had
cold on that.
context.
Yeah.
But, but then today, I can't remember what I said. I was like, I'm not going to be here long. It was in a meeting. And of course, this is like Becca sticks her foot in said mouth. And this is a meeting with everybody at the company that's of any importance. And I said, I said something and he goes, "Remember, you said 2 years." And I was like, "I said I can guarantee 2 years, but I can't guarantee that." And, and then I told Christy that, and she's like, "Becca, you're not supposed to say that out loud." And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you."
Yeah. That's not if there's something of, who's up for a promotion, who do we think could uh handle this new responsibility? If somebody's openly said, I don't plan on being here that long, they don't
Well,
feel like they're bought in. Like, why would you think
I don't
they'd be
want a
good for?
promotion anyway, so it works out.
Well, I'm just saying, like, why would they give somebody more responsibility? It's kind of like
Yeah,
similar to the thing I was talking about, like coworkers. Like,
yeah,
there's, I don't know, it's hard. I think I've just ebb and flow. I've been with the company so long, you kind of see people get laid off, and you see the company change strategies, and like there are
yeah,
positions that open up, and I kind of created a lane for myself in my in the position I'm in now, that like they kind of made it for me.
yeah,
So like I think it's possible, and I've seen other coworkers do this same thing. They kind of made positions for themselves. So it may not seem like it's a linear, I see where my next step is going to be in the business. Like, I think you
right.
kind of need to be around and show that you're valuable enough and you know enough that you can be plugged in different areas and be trusted to do good work. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
is
agree.
very, I mean, it may not give you a lot of clarity of, I want to be here in a year, because like a lot of times you can't control that. So you're kind of
Yeah,
putting something that's like an expectations that's not really realistic.
yeah.
But you got to be
Me,
patient. I don't know.
honestly, and what's funny about it is that me saying I would be there for 2 years is like a fucking stretch for me. Like that's a
Yeah.
that's like a wild goal.
Yeah. That's like me hearing you say that, because you could be hyperbolic
Yeah.
that,
That's a, have you
this
thought about
person
this
that is
for a
not,
month or a
yeah.
year?
Yeah, so you got to, the context of the person saying it definitely matters.
For sure.
Whew.
Yeah. Oh, it is funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, good thing you're not in a place that it is crazy expensive to live. I mean, I don't know how much it costs, like cost of living where you're at, but it's,
I'll tell you what,
you
I'm
gotta,
very lucky. And I've said this before. I am very lucky to be in the financial position that I'm in right now because I don't have to live in a house. I don't have to pay for internet because now I have a library card. I don't have to like I don't have to pay for garbage. I don't have to pay for water. I don't have to pay for electricity. I don't have to pay for any of that shit. And if I did, I'd be under. I'd be in the red,
hmm
100%. And and I think that that has a lot to do with why I've been kind of like thinking about that because I am so lucky, you know? And and of course, sometimes I spend my money on frivolous things. To you, it wouldn't feel that frivolous, but to me it does,
hmm
like getting ice cream or getting going out to eat, something
hmm
like that. But um
and maybe maybe looking back on it, you don't feel like you had a lot of leverage. Did you could you have stated that you wanted to make a certain amount of money going into it if you
Nah,
felt confident in it?
nah.
No,
Because it was an entry level position and I knew
because
that.
I remember when you started, you were like, "I'll take anything just to get in the door,"
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
which doesn't give
And
you leverage at all. That's basically saying, "I'll work for nothing."
right. And I still feel and felt that way, you know? Like this has benefited me in a lot of different ways than just financially. I'm just saying like if I had an apartment,
Mm, yeah,
I'd have to get a second job.
right.
So, um and yeah, and that, it makes me worry about the people at work that have kids that are like new or whatever. Um and like something comes up. It's not even about me.
Hmm.
Like 100% it's not even about me. It's about all the other people, you know,
Yeah.
that I see that, are struggling on a day-to-day basis and like maybe they work hard and maybe they deserve more or whatever or but at the same time, they chose it, right? They chose this. They knew going in just like I did. So,
I mean, a lot of it they
obviously,
can't shoot, like they don't know that prices of things around them are going to go up. So that
true, but they've lived
you
here
kind
a
of
long time,
go in knowing a certain
Yeah.
amount, but
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel very, 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 very fortunate,
hmm
and like I said, on top of all those things that I feel fortunate about, I have the education of knowing how to use money, and that's huge.
hmm and you could
So,
probably move around to different places and make it work kind of wherever.
yeah, for sure.
You could
Yeah.
adjust and make it work, but
Yeah. But
um
I still am in kind of in the position of like, I need to start selling some pots so I can have a little bit of a cushion, you know? Like I had a cushion. I had like a $5,000 emergency fund and then I bought a car. And so
hmm
now it's like 15. No, it's like 1,000, you know?
hmm
And so I'd like to get that back up to like 5. But yeah, I mean,
I
no
mean, I
room
think
for
being a small
saving.
business too, I think we kind of figure out, and maybe it's inherent because we have made things that are of value that people that we've kind of found that there's something else I could spend more time doing and sell it.
Yeah,
So like a lot of people that work a day job,
mindset.
they don't have that mindset of like, oh, I can actually go make money without just, oh, I need to go get a part-time job. I need to get another job. But I don't know.
I
I don't
could
know.
have sworn I put my water bottle in here. I'm so mad at myself right now.
Maybe it's just like you come accustomed to it because we've just built that skill over years of like,
Well,
okay,
we've
you
built
just
that skill, but also you have to think about it this way too. You're very fortunate to be able to have built that skill. Like a
that's
lot of
true.
people
Yeah.
never have a moment to
Yeah.
even get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, and I'm not saying like, if you don't work hard, you can't, I do think that if you work really, really hard, you can make it. But a lot of people are at a disadvantage in the sense that they are working hard and they're barely making it. And
Right.
like starting a business takes a lot of trial and error. And you have to be able to afford that trial and error, you
Hmm.
know? It's a lot.
Yeah.
I would have never been able to start my business if I didn't have 6K in the bank. I don't know why I had 6K. I think somebody died. And I'm like,
Oh, I thought you were just working a full-time job and you just happened to be saving a little bit.
no, fuck no. I was like $20,000 in debt at the time.
So 6K minus the $20,000 debt.
I don't know. I
You
mean,
just
like
happen to have 6K in savings. I remember this story because you said that's when you decided to go full time was I had 6,000.
I had $6,000 and that was 3 months worth of finance, like stuff. Like I mapped out 3 months of living.
Hmm.
Um, like I could take care of myself. And then I proceeded to go into like a $10,000 credit card debt, you know?
Hmm.
Like in those first 3 months. So, like, by the time I left Monroe, I had almost $40,000 in debt. 25 of that was a little bit different. 25 of that was or maybe 15 of that was the loan. The
The government loan, right?
Yeah.
The
And
government
that
loan for small
yeah.
businesses or something.
And that was more of a cushion loan than anything else. And I paid it off right when I sold the business, but um or sold everything in the business. But like, yeah, I had a $10,000 loan for my parents. I had like $15,000 in credit card debt. Like that was before I sold the house. And then when I sold the house, that's when I got all that money back, you know?
Hmm.
But um but yeah, I mean like you just start buying things because you have to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Bought a
can't.
house way too young when I didn't even know how to live, you know? And like, of course, that house ended up saving me, but,
Yeah,
but you
because you
know,
actually were able to pay down a lot of debt when you sold it, right?
right. But what if something had happened in the house? What if like an emergency had happened? What if my water heater broke? I wouldn't have been able to buy anything in the house to save it. I would have had
Hmm.
cold water, you know?
Right. Until you saved up enough money to fix it, and you would just been like, well, or
Right.
you got to sell something else. Like you got to sell a
Yeah.
vehicle or,
Yeah. I had to sell my car to get my flood insurance payment. It was a $1,100. Actually, I had to borrow it from my mom, and then I sold my car, and then I had to give that back to my mom because, and I remember I sold that car in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and I looked at the guy and I said, I have to sell this for $1,100. Like, you have to give me $1,100 because that's how much my flood insurance is. And yeah, but it was like a whole convoluted thing because I sold for cash and you couldn't like prove that on your income statement. So my mom had to gift me the money and then I just gave it back to her. So,
ooh,
but um, but yeah. Anyway,
whew,
yeah,
that was an interesting intro.
that's not an intro. This has become the episode. But okay, wait, I did have one thing that I thought would go into a new kind of discussion, and it was about like owning your own business and like well, I think that maybe it wasn't this, but maybe I think that this whole conversation is why it's so important to treat your business like it's paying you. You know, like figure out how much you want to be paid, how much you can survive on, and treat that business like it's actually paying you a salary.
Right. Well, I
Um,
mean, that's kind of the backbone of the profit first stuff that you're paying
right,
50% of its
exactly.
owner's comp, a certain percentage is profit so that you're not paying yourself after everything is paid for. You
Yeah,
get the scraps. You're not getting the scraps. You're building in
right.
money to pay yourself as you're growing it so that you get accustomed to it. The business can accommodate for that. It's
Yeah,
not spending money on things that it can't afford.
yeah,
If you're not there to make the work and do all the selling and do all the things that you got to do as the owner and the operator and the potter and the 15 other jobs that you're doing, then there is no business. So you have to pay
right.
yourself.
Yeah, and I think also like we all start businesses and we're like, yeah, it's doing great. I'm not paying myself, but it's doing great. And I think we really need to get out of that mindset because if you're not paying yourself, you don't have a good business. Like if you
It's not
can't,
sustainable. You need
yeah,
it to
if
be
you can't,
sustainable.
and it's obviously not right away because obviously businesses don't make a profit until like year two, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have a plan in place and like I started paying myself $800 a week every single week and I stuck to it. I like stuck to it.
How many years into your business were you when you started doing that though?
So many fucking years. I don't like probably like 6. I mean,
How are you paying
and
yourself otherwise? Were you just like, was
I
there
was just
money
doing
there? Can
yeah,
I afford to pay myself or not?
yeah, I was just doing owner's draws. I want to say that I started paying myself after Profit First. It might have been after I read that book. Either Profit First or not the E-Myth.
Because you
One of the
read, so
business
you're saying you
books.
read Profit First for the first time like 6 or 8 years ago?
Yeah, I read it a long time ago, right? No, maybe it was a different book. You know,
I
it
mean,
might have
you were
been
talking about
Rich.
something with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I think it might have been Rich Dad Poor Dad. There's a lot of books that have been read about finances. Um, but yeah, and like that changed my life. Paying myself a certain amount of money every month it changed my life. And even if it's like $250 a month, it's better than
Yeah.
not, or a week, it's better than nothing. And it can change your whole business.
How do, why do, why do we not think that way? Why do we go to you get whatever's left over? Why do we not build
I
that
don't
in
know.
up front? Because like you said when you kind of started that point, you were saying, businesses don't make a profit until year two, blah 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 blah. Like, why? Why do they not make a profit until year two? Like, why can't you make enough to make your money?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it for us, you can't have anything sellable until you invest in the equipment to make it to a sellable
Hmm.
state. Because you're not like flipping or anything. You're not going and buying things cheap to sell them for more money, and it doesn't really cost you anything but your time. We
Right.
actually have to produce a product.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Like developing a whole business costs money, just generally, you know? Like it costs money to you, you know what's funny is that yeah, it costs money like you said, buying all the things. Uh and as to an answer to your question of like we why we start the way we start and like don't build in paying ourselves right away, I think I think it's because of accountants. It's because no, not just accountants, but it's because of this whole um deduct everything, right? Like for instance, this is a great example. My mother just started this little like travel business, like going on cruises. So if you're gonna go on a cruise and you want a good deal, hit me up. I'll connect you with my mom. But because she started
Like a
doing,
travel agent?
yeah, like a travel agent, she started doing all the cruises for her Bible study. And my mom is very resourceful. She should have been in the FBI. Like, she can find anything. And so she started this travel business thing, and I made her business cards, and she like bought them or something like, I don't know. It was the conversation of whether to have a back of the business card or just the front of the business card. And I was like, Mom, it's more expensive to have the back. And she's like, it's fine. I'll just deduct it. And I was like, no, Mom, that's not how this works. Like, you have to know and it's just like, it's like the anthem of beginning business owners. It's fine. I'll deduct it. And and I lived like that for such a long time, and I barely deduct anything now, and like, well, I
You're more
technically don't
thinking,
really have a
what do I
business.
need? What do I actually need to
Or
get
not
to?
even that. Not even that. It's just, yeah, like when you say yes, what do you need? Like, yeah, because when you say, oh, it's fine, I'll deduct it, you buy this stupid fucking shit that you don't need, you
Hmm.
know? And, but yeah, it's more like, I'll find the deductions at the end of the year, but I'm not worried about it. I'd rather pay myself first.
Yeah.
And I don't even save receipts anymore. I'm like, whatever. Like $2, $7, like fuck it. I don't care. But also I haven't had like a legit business for a while. So if I went back into
Yeah.
like having a full-fledged, every receipt will be saved, blah blah blah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
some
and
of it
and
of spending money like I've bought business cards and you do
yeah.
it and then you realize I am going to be on to another business card in like 6 months and I'm going to wish I never ordered those 300 business cards because I gave out like 5 of them.
Or 1,000 business cards. I
Like
cannot tell you how
like
many
I get it,
fucking
I
business
save
cards
money.
the amount of business cards I've thrown in the trash because they're outdated or they don't have the right thing
Yeah.
on them. Oh my God. Like, it's unreasonable. It's
Yeah.
unreasonable.
It's like, no, just get scrappy. Get something that's super simple. People just need to know your business name and your name or something.
Yeah,
Like
that
there's
doesn't
some
change.
yeah, just keep it simple. I mean,
Yeah.
I just stopped printing them at Staples like last year. So,
Yeah, you did.
I
Thanks to
mean,
me.
yeah,
Um,
it takes a
yeah,
while, but that's where you're trading your time versus a
right.
convenience. So,
But maybe like this is a lesson. Don't buy 1,500 business cards.
yeah,
Buy
why don't
200.
you realize like who are you going to
Right.
give them to? Who are you going to
Yeah,
give
like
50 business cards to?
right. Or print out something with your business, put it on your booth if you're a booth-based business and say, take a picture. Like
Yeah,
that's
do a
gonna that's
do
gonna
a
get you
QR
more
code that you print
exactly.
once and you can choose what's on that QR code. Like
Yeah,
what is on that page that it goes to.
yeah. I like the only thing that I've bought that has lived through the ages are the stickers that I made.
Oh yeah, your five lines pottery stickers.
It's the only thing.
Yeah.
I've had that same sticker for years since we started the podcast.
And I don't even know, do you still have your website? Is your web I mean, I'm trying to think.
No. So you
Yes.
can go to a blank website. You don't even get to my website, but you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like,
So they
but
remember your business, they remember your face, and they remember five lines pottery. So
yeah,
like they can find you.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I
So
think
like,
the yeah, getting
yeah,
set up, making profit. I think just shooting to just break even is a good goal for the first year. Like, can you
I
break even?
agree.
Can you
Breaking
rather
even
than
is
like
good.
I need to spend a bunch of money to get myself set up and I think some of it you buy it for ego and like you want to feel like you're a professional because you have all these things that you've spent money on and it makes you look established. And I think you can get a lot of that with just how you carry yourself and how you're improving and
Yeah,
like how you like customer service and talking to people. Like, I think that's going to hold more weight than how pretty your booth looks.
agreed.
And you're going to change
Uh,
your mind. Like, your booth is going to change so quickly. Your
Jesus,
products are going to change so quickly. So,
do you
like,
remember how many times I changed my booth back in like 2016?
yeah.
Every week, every fucking week. I would be like walking to my booth on a Saturday after it had Friday with fucking building materials in my hands, like building my booth while I was in my booth. Like, I remember I remember one of the other artists was like, Becca, just stop. I was like, I can't.
Or at
Uh,
least do this in your off time. Don't be doing it at the show. Like, do
I
this
would
the
do it
week between
before.
your shows.
It's easy to do it when it's up.
Yeah.
I mean, I would. I like my neighbor was like, "How many shelves have you built?" God. Because I would just be in my fucking driveway looking at shelves, like trying to figure out how to make them.
And then you got the opposite in the spectrum where I'll use the same fucking folding tables for like 6 years because they still
Yeah.
work. And I just upgraded to shelving unit because I got them for free from somebody that doesn't make work anymore. And I'm like,
Yeah.
these are great. And then people keep commenting. They're like, I love your shelving. Did you build them or where'd you get those? And people are
Yeah.
just looking for something. I'm like, I got them secondhand from somebody. Somebody gave them to me.
I am the epitome of that meme that says like buy it for $12 or buy all the supplies and make it for 99. I am that person. Like,
But
oh,
you also are willing to just buy a shelving unit off Amazon
I
and it's
am.
just you
I
get it.
totally
And then
am.
you're like, whatever. I like maybe you use it for a season. Maybe you use it for like a few shows and you're like, I didn't like that.
I actually really loved my last booth setup. I thought it was great. Um,
You went with those flip shelving
hmm
and collapsible shelving pretty good.
Those were really good. And I ended up not being able to tote them around anymore, so I ended up giving them to somebody. Um, and then now I have just tables, kind of like you, but and that works
I'm
fine.
on to the shelving game though. I got the stacked shelves now.
Yeah. No, but I think that I would do it. The problem with the tables is that I have like the 4-foot tables and they've fallen over like a couple times on the grass
Mm,
because they're on the high risers, they're on the risers, and they've just like poof with stuff on them. It's terrible.
right. I think there's
So,
also like I don't know. For me, it's hard to decide like not when to stop is probably the right word, but like when do you like settle in some ways?
Hmm.
Not settle, but how do you like know when it's enough?
Yeah.
Well, and that
My
kind of goes back to like the livable wage of like how much is do I need to keep pushing
right.
versus where do I leave some breathing room or
Hmm.
I don't know. It's
Yeah. I used to have my pottery mentor guy person, Larry Bruning, used to say, stop when it sings. And you never really know when it sings, but you do. I feel like, like if you have a pot, you're like, maybe you should stop, you know?
Mhm.
Like it looks beautiful right now. Like m my friend James, who's here, not to be confused with my brother James, who looks exactly the same. Um, he was making like a really tall pot, and when Dell was here, we looked at it, and it was he was just about to put another coil on, and we were like, "Have you looked at this from far away? Because I think you should stop, because it looks beautiful, you know." And he was like, "Oh, I never really thought about that." And we're like, "Yeah." So I do think that like in those situations where you're like, "Hey, should I stop? Should I not?" Getting a second opinion is always a good idea too, especially if it's from maybe a woman, if it's in regards to your booth. Not me
Mhm.
though.
Not you.
Not me. In my case, I get my opinion from Andrew, stationary Andrew, who is my woman.
Yeah, he set up quite a few booths and
Yeah.
store maybe a couple storefronts and
Yeah.
you got that person that's got that eye for
Yeah.
the aesthetics and the balance and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Find yourself a gay man or a woman. Somebody who's in the trends. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of well, when I made that statement, I was kind of relating it to business, but you were talking about pot, like making a pot
No,
or making
I
work,
I
but
was
it
real I
could
know.
scale to either.
I
But
was I was saying that in response to that to say like, yeah, it works both ways. It
right,
works in business too. Like you have to stop when it's
well,
set like when it's singing.
yeah, and there's like to me, I want to optimize as much as possible. Like there's always room to optimize at least 1%. And if
Yeah.
you're like where are you at 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, if you've optimized X, Y, and Z 1%, little by little by little by little, and it's like it seems night and day from where you were.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the little nuggets, I was kind of thinking about this a couple days ago. I think it was over the workshop. And
We
I
have
was thinking
25 minutes, by the way.
and I was thinking about like when the Sgraffito work started,
Hmm.
like how did that actual nugget start? Where that seed planted? And it started from being asked to do a Sgraffito demo in an advanced wheel class.
Oh,
Did you know that?
no.
So there was no pressure to be making anything. It was just they wanted to see a demo of how Sgraffito worked. And it was the first time I'd put underglaze on a pot and actually carve through it. Like I'd heard of the technique, but I've never actually done it. So I just put it on pot, put it on some cups or whatever, and then carved through it. And I think that's what I did was I did the vertical lines. And obviously the vertical lines have evolved over the years. They've got a little tighter. I've got like more intention of how I'm doing it and what forms I'm doing it on, but that's where it started. So I think I was from reflecting on that a couple days ago, I was kind of like, you don't really know where that nugget is going to lead you years down the road. And
Mm.
it could be something that only lives for like a month and you experiment with it and it's gone. And who cares? It like
You
there's no
know,
pressure.
I agree because that's where I found the fancy cup style is when I went to Danny's workshop and we were just shitting
Oh,
around.
really?
And yeah, well, actually I was watching him make tea bowls and I was like, man, I love that shape. And then I got obsessed with tea bowl history. You remember that?
Yes. You're
Yeah.
reading some history books, some
I was
ceramic histories.
reading history because I didn't want to like I
You're
didn't want
worried
to
about
well, I wanted to make sure that I
you're
represented
paying
well.
homage. You weren't
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever that word is that I'm trying to think of.
Stealing.
Stealing
Uh,
or
or what's the word?
something
What's the
with an
word?
A. Oh my gosh. People are probably screaming
Appropriate.
right. Appropriate. Yeah, 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 there you go. You weren't
Um,
appropriating people's, you were paying homage and you were respecting it and the history
right.
and stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, but I was at Danny's workshop and I love that, and I did a few things, a few cups, and I was like, damn, that's good shape, you know? And that I was already working on sanding the pieces. I don't know fucking why, but I already was. And and then but they were just straight up and down, you know? And then when I came back from Danny's, that's when the like combination of the shape, the wine glass shape that I have now, and the sanding kind of like came together. And then doing like the 2D image on a 3D object, that type of stuff. So, but yeah, yeah, I love that. Like having a seed and where it comes from. You never expect it to come when it
Yeah.
comes.
And it doesn't take like I don't think we have inherently put pressure on ourselves to say
Mm,
this is going to become what I'm known for. For instance, like you know, those early days of like us talking on Instagram Live, like we couldn't have known that it
yeah,
was going to lead here, but I think it's I think it, at least for me, it gives me like hope that things can evolve and you have no idea where it's going to go. But as long as you
yeah.
like keep at it and you're like tweaking it and nurturing it and you're watering those plants, you're in the right, like you've got the right circumstances to like have it flourish and bloom. Like there's going to be some things that like knock it down and some storms there that make you question it or like I can't like I'm
But you
not
got to
finding
keep
people
doing
that are
it.
selling that like I can't sell
Yeah.
this to anybody. But like, you know, when do you quit? When do you keep going? Like,
And don't get me wrong, my roller coaster has been as wild as anybody's has. Yours has been pretty steady. You've been like on a nice like coastal drive.
hmm
And mine's more like a roller coaster. But like, yeah, and I think that also and we've said this a lot, but I think it doesn't hurt to say it again. Also being consistent is some is like adds to that. Like you can't expect to um like you get a seed, like you said, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this once." And
yeah, you can't just keep piling Miracle Grow on this thing and it's gonna
no,
like shoot up.
no.
It's like those time lapses where it's like photos every day of this thing growing and it's like so
Yeah,
subtle, it's so slight,
you
but you
have
look at
to
it over like
water
a
it.
yeah.
You have to water it. And so like I had a professor in college who ended up hating me by the end of it, by the way. Um, say that uh say that you have to do something 2 hours a day. Like just 2 hours a day and
hmm
that'll get you there. And it doesn't need to be 2 hours. It could be 20 minutes and it'll
Mm,
still improve, you know, like it's like you know, habit growing essentially. It's like now I can wake up at 6 o'clock fine, you know,
right,
but like when I was starting at work, I could not wake up at 6 o'clock. Now I can go to sleep at 11 and wake up at 6 and I'm totally fine during the day. But that didn't happen right away. We're still fucking human.
right.
Like, you gotta remember that. You need water, you need sustenance, and you need to do certain things over and over and over to get there.
Yeah. And if there wasn't like like there's a reason you want to be getting up at 6, like you got a job, the money's an incentive that you're going to get paid every week, like
Mm.
you know that you're going to be done at 3, you're going to be able to walk away.
And then you're gonna get ice cream.
Yeah, there you go. So it's yeah, I don't know, I was thinking about that from the workshop this weekend, and um yeah, a lot of these just take I mean I can think back to so many experiences like that. The soda kiln, like people be like, when did you start soda firing? And it was probably there was a workshop available at Isaac's. And I was like, oh, like I want to travel all the way to Kansas to go to this workshop
No, it
to like
wasn't
visit?
Isaac, it was Trevor.
Oh yeah, 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 I did go to Trevor's.
It
Yeah.
was Trevor's. It was Trevor first, and then it was Isaac. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, October and then the next year I went. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was just like, hey, can I come visit you?
Yeah.
And then oh, yeah, I was and then if you relate it to the workshop it was like, oh, I can build this myself.
Hmm.
Right. So, you know, who knows where soda firing is going to be in my business in my life in 10
Right.
years. Like we don't know, you know. But
Yeah.
but yeah, all these things just it's like patience and I don't know. I want to like do you think we're less patient these days? I think there's just so much hustle and bustle that we just
Yeah.
expect it and we just have high expectation. We really we see others and it makes us want that and you don't see all of the experience that they had leading up to that point so that they can actually make that happen or
Social media really killed that one for us. And for the kiddos nowadays, I think. I've noticed, and I don't like to, I'm not a huge fan of like grouping groups, like grouping people and like saying everybody is like this, but I've noticed a high percentage of the younger population expects something to happen immediately, and it's a problem. Yeah.
and then how do you
And
feel
then
like
you,
you're you know you know some of it is how much do you 'cause I was asking one of the professors here how do you at the workshop how do you guide them and tell them some things that might be a reality that they could be experiencing without feeling like you're preaching to them.
right. Yeah, without you having that same like, well, what am I going to use math in my future for? Like that same
Hmm.
attitude, which true, haven't used math since calculators.
Oh, I
Um,
use proportions all the time for pottery and business. How do you calculate your sales tax? Like that's how I calculate it for paying my sales tax every month.
you ever use a calculator?
Well, yeah, I use a calculator, but I still use the formula of like x over 100 equals blank over 80, and then I do the cross multiply, and I use that all the time.
Yeah, I
Or
guess I
for
just do that in my
percentages,
head.
if I figure out what the percentage needs to be for shrinkage,
Yeah.
you know, x over 88 because my clay shrinks 12% equals 5 over 100, and then I do cross multiply, and I figure that out. I don't know
Hmm.
what is that what it is that algebra? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
algebra. Solve for
It's like
x.
algebra 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe 1. I don't know. High school was a long time ago. Can I say something that's completely not related, but has been the my like uh in my not in my thoughts, but I've been reading this book. Can I say something?
Hmm.
And we'll cap the episode after this, I guess, or at some point after this. The lady told me I had to be out of here at 7:30.
Okay.
Um, which is great for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great for us. Um, I've been reading this book. Okay, first of all, I asked the ladies in the pottery class if they had any recommendations on a book that wouldn't give me nightmares, and this lady recommended the book The Woman, and that is not a book that wouldn't give you nightmares. P.S. So if you don't want a book that gives you nightmares, don't read this. Or wait, read this. Anyway, it is about it's a non it's a fiction book, but it's based on women back in Vietnam and their experiences being combat nurses in Vietnam. And
Uh-huh.
I just want to say that if you have any interest or don't have any interest in wars and veterans, you should definitely read this book. It is I feel like before, and that's why I mentioned MASH yesterday too, because it feels like exactly how MASH is, like just without it being funny, even though MASH is in the Korean ward and this is in Vietnam. But reading it, I'm having this like fucking awakening of like how incredible veterans are and like people that went to war and like how they've been treated. And so anyway, if you don't have any like PTSD from a war, you should read this book because
I think I looked at it. It's called The Women with an
the
E
women,
by Kristen Hanna from
yeah,
2024.
it is so good. I haven't finished it. I have like 3 hours left, but it is so good. And but it's very graphic. Like it talks, and I mean graphic in the way of like talking about blood and
Well, yeah, they're nurses in
they're
Vietnam in the
nurses
war,
in
so
Vietnam. So but anyway, I just felt like I should share that because it It's like one of those things that, I haven't really thought a lot about, even though my dad's a veteran, but I haven't really like thought a lot about because, you don't really, we haven't really had a war like, well, we have had Afghanistan, so, but even then I feel like it was really sheltered from us because we were kind of like more in the kid zone
Hmm.
and it's just like a super impactful book. So
Yeah,
that's
it's tough because
my
a lot of the people that
subject.
serve typically are pretty tight to the vest on what they share. And
Oh,
like a lot
super
of it
tight.
you don't want to ask, just like you don't ask traumatic, like what happened to
Yeah,
this thing, this traumatic event in your life. Can you talk to me about that so I can get a little understanding? Like most people are
yeah,
not gonna typically do that. Like you don't want to revisit your most traumatic parts of your life.
in your life. Yeah, and my granddad, and also like I think this is correct. I still want to do a little bit more research, but the receiving of veterans from World War II versus Vietnam were so different because in Vietnam we were losing, and
Hmm.
it was like there was a lot of lies in all over the
Hmm.
media and stuff like that. In World War II, it was like they're heroes, blah blah blah, and in Vietnam they were because it was like during the '60s when everybody was fighting back and
Hmm.
on drugs and free love, and they were like, Fuck you guys." Like you went
Yeah,
over there and you
lot
killed
less
people.
trust and yeah.
Yeah. And like I wouldn't want to share my story either. My
Yeah.
granddad was in World War II and he was a bomber. I believe he was a flight pilot. And he never talked about anything. His
Did you
brother
feel
went
like you could have
MIA.
asked him?
No. His brother was KIA, killed in action.
Hmm,
He was in the whole Hiroshima bombing situation, I believe. So,
really? Wow.
yeah. I don't remember which bombing situation, but he was a bomber. So, but still, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
And
the
like,
links that people volunteer to do that. Like
yeah, it's
that's
wild.
wild. Like a lot of people do that voluntarily so we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Most
And I
like a
mean,
lot of places you're a citizen of, you're required to serve. Like
yeah,
we're really privileged to not have to, and it takes like I mean, we'll see how it goes in the next handful of years if there's still enough people willingly able to voluntarily serve, to
yeah,
keep up what they expect. But yeah, like yeah,
yeah.
they
It's
don't
just
get
kind of
enough
like,
respect for sure.
yeah. And I think that I had sympathy and a majority of empathy before, but I don't think that I had enough. I mean, I know I didn't have enough, but yeah, pretty wild. So I would recommend it. It's a great book so far. It's pretty
Hmm.
long, but listening to it is a great way. I got it on Libby. It was like ready to borrow immediately, so yeah.
Hmm. And the
But and it doesn't matter your political state of
yeah, I
being, by
think
the way.
just like I don't
Like
know, I feel like we could all kind of respect that somebody's willingly fighting for your country and serving even if they don't agree with the government that's
I agree.
leading it. Like it doesn't matter if you don't agree with the I don't know. I think you can disagree with the government going to war and all of that. That's a government decision, but you should still respect the people that are willingly there
To do it.
to do
Yes,
the
I
job
agree.
because they're doing what they're being asked to do.
Especially when it's a past situation. Like it
Yeah.
already happened, you know. In
Right.
the present, it might be different, but like not even actually. But like this in this book, there was like she's like people spit at me and like you know, and like well, because she's a woman, they were like there were no women in Vietnam, but obviously there were nurses.
Yeah. And a lot of
And
it is
so
they don't walk past politicians on the street that they can spit at. So they spit at people that are
yeah,
veterans because they do see them and they interact with them and they feel
yeah,
like they're trying to get their anger out on them rather than
yeah.
the people that they wish they could.
I feel like this this is a monumental episode for us. Not only did we talk about the economy, but we talked about about veterans and almost we even talked
Minimum
about
wage?
socialism.
What the
We talked
fuck?
about socialism and whatever thing is now that I just lost the word of. Capitalism. Wow. We this is a hot topic episode.
And we didn't even get to make her the moment. Damn.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
I don't know what I'm gonna title this episode, but
Something special. What
yeah,
you should,
I'm gonna be on vacation when this thing goes live, or maybe I'll be getting back, but
yeah, I'll try to upload it like soon. Maybe I'll come to, I don't know, the upload speed at the library is garbage. So
maybe you
maybe
can
I'll do it at
get that
work.
Ethernet figured out and hook up the Ethernet and get that thing uploaded.
Yeah, if it'll work. But I will, yeah, maybe I can do it at work or something. So, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for that downer at the end of the episode, but
That's all right. That's all right. I think we're bound to have some downer parts here and there. I think it's realistic. So
yeah, but also you should watch MASH because it's the same shit. It's just funny. I'll give you my Hulu account.
I could probably rent it from the library and just watch it on
Oh,
DVD.
oh, oh. Did you know that they have a movie edition of Libby?
I feel like I heard about that. Is it Overdrive?
No, it's called Canopy.
Canopy. Okay. I was not familiar with that. No.
Yeah. You know what? I could get my sister to send you all of the MASH DVDs. We have every single one.
I mean, I can just rent it. I don't want you to have to mail mash.
Why not? Then it'd be closer to me. I have the box set.
I bet you do.
Listen, I love that shit.
Phew. All right. Any last
Oh,
words?
it's
I will.
Canopy. It's Canopy with a K.
Canopy with a K. Okay. I will be enjoying Hawaii with Rachel for the next 10 days very soon, getting
And I will be
some
enjoying a break without Ryan.
rest and relaxation, hopefully, to celebrate our 10-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
So thank you for
Did
that.
you is she there? Did you I know you don't give her gifts, but did you get her anything?
I did not. I mean, Hawaii is our
I
trip,
knew
so
it.
like I mean, we're spending a ton of money on Hawaii. We did upgrades and stuff like that. So like we're taking care of it. I mean, that is the trip. Like we don't typically go on vacation for our anniversary, so like no.
I know, but you know what? Like you could get her something just cheeky fun for the flight. Just for the flight.
Hmm.
Like
I'll think about
like
that.
a
I'll think about
book or
something.
something, like something that she would enjoy. Oh, like a picture book of vintage stuff, or
Hmm.
I'll look too. I'll look too. When are you leaving?
We're leaving on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, like something you could maybe buy on Amazon that's like a history picture book of like mid-century modern furniture.
Hmm.
I got you.
There was something that she well, I kind of talked about this randomly, I don't know, because I'm not the best reactor
No shit.
of like exciting things. Like I get more excited about a random bag of flaming hot Cheetos in the cabinet that Rachel gets from me from the grocery store than like somebody saying, I got into this art show. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, you did all the work to earn it. Like you've been planting these seeds and nurturing this stuff, so you earned it. So it's like it's not as
Yeah.
surprising, and I don't get super excited, but I'm like I get super like, ooh, flaming hot Cheetos, hell yeah,
Like when we got Funyuns from your mom.
hell yeah. I'm like,
Hell
I
yeah.
get excited about that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were kind of joking about that recently,
But just like a
but
little fun thing. I think that that would be fun for her, for
yeah,
the trip.
okay. I have to
Yeah.
think on it as she's doing the stairwell right now, doing something with the basement. Whew. Do you notice
Rough.
the new doors? We got new doors down here.
Oh my
That's why my thing is
God.
positioned this way. We got two new French doors.
That is so exciting. I was going to comment on the fact that you're in a different position. They are beautiful.
And there's no doors back here. These are they're called
Fake doors.
side lights or something. They're just windows essentially, but
Cool.
they
Are you
don't
going to get
open.
curtains finally?
We're not getting curtains, no.
Fuck you.
You
I hate watching TV in your basement. Um,
can just pivot the TV so it's not facing that direction. I don't know.
anyway, it's fine. It's your house.
Maybe
It's
in another
fine. I
five
don't
years
care.
we'll get curtains. We'll get curtains at some point. But
Ryan thinks that curtains are not aesthetically pleasing, which is fucking bullshit. You can find nice curtains.
you think I'm
Uh,
making the design aesthetically pleasing decisions in this house?
yeah, you've said that you won't have curtains.
I mean, that is true, but I mean, yeah. But I mean, the rest of what's going on here is not me.
No,
I
it's
mean,
definitely
I
not you.
have to tame her down about, 5%. So
He gets like
that's where my say
1%. He
comes
gets
in. Yeah.
his only percentage of design like style is the wall in front of him right now.
The wall in front of me, my desk, that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny. Anyway, okay. Do you have any last words? I've already said mine.
I do not. No last words.
Are you excited to drink some Mai Tais on the beach?
I am. We're gonna hit some tiki bars.
Hell yeah.
Rachel's got a hell of an itinerary. I mean, she basically
I'm
scheduled
sure she
everything,
does.
everything but our bathroom breaks, I think is scheduled. So, I mean, we got I'm pretty hands off here. I'm like, I'll show up. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna be there. She's peeking around. She's like, no, no, just number ones are planned, not number twos. Okay. Um, yeah, so yeah, we'll have a good time. I
That'll
don't
be
know. It's
great.
like you got to schedule these things in. I don't know. Like she's gonna figure it out. I'm like, yeah, we'll pick some dates. We'll get it taken care of. And I think it's good for the business and all this other stuff where I get overwhelmed. So
Yeah. Rachel's a 20 out of 10. We all know it.
there we go.
Yep. All
Good
right.
good place to send us off with. Thanks
Yeah.
everybody for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
And happy marriage.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Whale Talk Podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.